say what he's thinking. It's the Michael K. Show on 880 ESPN Radio.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on this Friday, November 21st, 2025. Me and you for two. Me and you for two. Those are the rules of engagement. Fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio from 1 to 3 every Monday through Friday. Once again, we will start off by apologizing for what could be a little bit of a shaky voice today. I've tried to get better. It's just not happening. I feel a little bit better, but the voice is somewhat compromised. But I owe it to you on a big Friday to do this show, and I will. I will, because that's how I roll. And that's how you roll. You spend these 2 hours with me. I spend these 2 hours with you. All right, so we start off. Giants play this weekend. And we found out about an hour ago that Jackson Dart did not clear concussion protocol. So Jameis Winston will start. I'm a little concerned. This is a pretty serious concussion then. I mean, he suffered this 2 weeks ago, and he's still not cleared for concussion protocol. Now, I know that they're being careful, but they did say, Mike Kafka, the interim coach, said when he's ready, he's going to play. And he's not playing. Again, this happened 2 games ago, and he's still not cleared for Sunday against Detroit. Yeah, it happens. And you wonder, the other 3 times that he went into the tent, was he not concussed? Or was he able to get through the test and get back on the field? Because it's a little worrying that it's taking that long. And that's my biggest concern with Jackson Dart moving forward. I think he's got all the requisite skills to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. Can he keep himself healthy? That's the bottom line. Can he keep himself healthy? That's the way to root. That's the way to root. That's the only way to root. Why would you want somebody that talented not to be able to play? We'll get to more football a little bit later on. But baseball has been a sneaky topic of late. And let's be honest. Can we all talk frank here? The Jets and the Giants. I mean, is it really driving the boat? Are we really excited about this team? I'll tell you what. There's a decided lack of interaction when we bring up Jets and the Giants. I think people are cooked. They're done with it. The storylines are, Aaron Glenn doesn't treat the media well. They change quarterbacks. Jackson Dart to me is important. But, I mean, what do you say after you're a little bit concerned that he hasn't come back from concussion protocol? But we will get to football because it's a Friday. But, you know, Don has brought this up, too, on Don Hahn and Rosenberg. You do wonder, is football in this area ruining itself, at least in terms of being fans of the Giants and the Jets, to be this bad for this long? So, my son is 11. So his whole young life, both teams have stunk. But let's take it to a guy or a gal that just graduated college, 22, 23 years old. 15 years of ineptitude. Now, I know the Giants have made the playoffs twice, but there's been so much bad football. So you started as a 7 or an 8-year-old. This is all you've seen. And I think that we really have to worry when we see, I went to the 49er Giant game, and it was much more than 50% of 49er fans. And then the Packer game, way more than 50% of Packer fans. So I don't think that football is in danger because it's such a popular sport, and you can almost watch every single game. You can, literally, if you have the NFL package. But think about it. Are we raising Jet and Giant fans in this area? Have we lost an entire generation who doesn't want to root for a team that's terrible and dysfunctional? Think about that, everybody. An 8-year-old kid has seen nothing but dreck if his father's a Jet fan or his mother's a Jet fan. Nothing. Nothing but bad football. Heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And the Giants, one playoff win since they won a Super Bowl. One. So many different coaches. Dysfunction at its height. How many fans are the Jets and the Giants losing? Think about that. And you know, I've talked about it with people in the station as well. When we talk Jets and Giants, it doesn't move the needle like it used to. When Don and I first started the show in the afternoon, Giants were good. They were good. We had 2 Super Bowls in the start of our show. We used to have Eli Manning on every Monday. It was great. Now, what excites you about the Giants? What excites you about the Jets? I hope, against all hope, that we have not lost a generation of Giant and Jet fans. Talk baseball. For the 14th straight year, Brian Cashman did the sleep out for Covenant House. It's a really nice thing that he does. He sleeps on the sidewalk to call attention to the fact that people actually live that way, where they don't know where they're going to sleep night to night. So they sleep on the sidewalk under terrible conditions. I give him credit for that. So he had a beanie cap on, talked to the media. After that, he lays down on the concrete and goes to sleep for the night. Now, I don't know how much sleep he gets, but he did make one comment that interested me. He said, I know this is going to be a meme. And it is. So when anybody in sports tell you they don't check out social media, how would Brian know that that's been a meme? It has been a meme. So whenever, the trade deadline's happening and it's not happening as quickly as Yankee fans want it to be, they put the picture of Brian sleeping on the ground for the Covenant House. He's seen it. So when they tell you they don't know what's being said on social media or on talk radio, they most certainly do. That's just an aside, but it caught my attention. Because Brian said it with a wink. I know this is going to be a meme again. I've seen it before. They know everything that's said. So I don't know if fans particularly make the decisions, but they might color them. Now, he said the Yankees are not going to hide their desire to bring back Cody Bellinger. He said it's silly to do that. We want to bring him back. So Cody had a really good year. Really good year. A 5 WAR. That's outstanding. He has Scott Boras as an agent. So coming off a 5 WAR year, remember, Cody made $25 million last year. 5 of it was paid by the Cubs. So the Yankees got themselves quite a bargain. I would say that Cody is probably going to demand upwards of $30 million a year. And we hear the Dodgers could be interested. I don't think they will be. Dodgers don't need another left-handed bat. The Mets could be interested. They don't need another left-handed bat. They need a right-handed bat. But there will be interest in him. But there's going to be a threshold that the Yankees won't cross. If Bellinger wants a 6-year, $180 million deal, I'm not sure the Yankees are going to do it. But I have a solution because I'm always working for you. And it's been brought up a couple of times this week. So I did the deep dive. The San Diego Padres are looking to sell the team. Because of their late owner, Peter Seidler, who was trying to win a championship before he passed, he overspent to an unbelievable degree. The contract he gave Xander Bogaerts is going to be laughable, if it's not laughable now. The contract he gave Yu Darvish, laughable. Absolutely laughable. They extended Machado at big money, but Machado's a heck of a player. But by the end of the contract, it'll be laughable. So I don't think that Bogarts is movable. Yu Darvish is going to miss the whole year. And Manny Machado, probably movable, but not certain because of the length of the deal that takes him into his 40s. There's one movable deal that could clear money for them, and that's Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, what do the Yankees need this year? They need a right-handed bat, right? Fernando Tatis is 26 years old. He'll be 27 at the beginning of January. Coming off a year where he hit 268, 25 home runs, 71 ribbies, 159 hits. He's a brilliant outfielder. He plays right. He could play left easily. We know that he came up as a shortstop, so he could do that too. At the end of 2020, he signed a 14-year deal for $340 million. And at the time, people were aghast. Aghast. Not anymore. You know what the average annual value of that contract is? $24.29 million a year. That's $2.9 million more than Trent Grisham's making. The deal runs through 2034. Now, the only problem is this year, coming up, 2026 will make $20 million. 2027 will make $25 million. 2028 he's going to make $25 million. And then from 29 through 34, he makes $36 million a year. So what's remaining on the deal is not quite an average annual value of 24.29, but it's below market value for a player of that ilk. Also, since he's just 27, you're not signing him till he's 40 or 41. It's not a deal like what Machado has or what Soto has. It's not. You'll get out of that deal by the time he's 36 or 37. I would make a phone call to A.J. Preller. What do you need? What do you want? We got a deep farm system. This type of player that would play huge in New York, he'd be unbelievable. Be a huge star. I know he's had his PD problems. And if he gets banged again for PD problem, you know what? You're kind of out of the contract, aren't you? Now you can say, well, we're giving up a lot of people, and we're one bad test away from maybe being out of contract. You can take that chance because he's excelled since being banged on the PD job. He has a no-trade clause through 2028. I think with his theatrical flair, he would waive that clause to go to the Yankees. If I'm the Yankees and I see the bidding for Bellinger gets over $30 million, I might have to tap out. Cody's 30 years old. And let's not forget, he's had great years and he's had really, really bad years. The Dodgers, after he won an MVP for them, non-tendered him. The Cubs, after one good year and then one year, they traded him to the Yankees for Cody Poteet. Cody Poteet. And they ate $5 million of his contract. So it has not been a steady arc up for Cody. Maybe he found the place that's perfect for him in the Bronx. Maybe. But Scott Boras is not going to play that game. He's going to play the game, how much money and how long. And if there's some team that's willing to step up and break the bank, I don't think the Yankees will. That's when I make my pivot to Fernando Tatis Jr. Call me crazy. I wonder what you think. Brian also said that he checked in with Scott Boras on Tatsuya Imai, pitcher. That's something that interests me. He's young. He's dominated in Japan. And we've seen that Japanese pitchers, for the most part, they translate very, very well to the States. They sometimes need extra rest. But Yamamoto didn't need extra rest when he started Game 6 and pitched in Game 7. So I think that could change, especially with a young pitcher. But again, Boras represents him, so it's going to be a lot of money. I'm glad they're checking in on him. Non-tender deadline is tonight. Decisions to make on Leiter, Hamilton, Cousins, and Efros. That's a bullpen right there. They'll probably try to trade them before tonight's deadline, or they might not tender them. My best guess of being tendered would be Hamilton. Cousins had surgery last year. They like him, but he's going to miss half the season at least. Efros has been a disappointment since coming over from the Cubs, and Leiter struggled at the end. Also interesting, Yankee fans out there, you actually watched Devin Williams. He failed miserably at the beginning, lost the closer role, and then actually pitched quite well. And when you look at the Yankee bullpen, in terms of just flat-out stuff, Devin Williams might be the best pitcher they have. But is he suited for New York? And there's teams that are supposedly interested in him, including the Dodgers. If you could get Devin Williams for $10 million a year, if I'm the Yankees, I would do that because your closer, David Bednar, doesn't make that money, and you still have control of him. So you could pay a setup guy big money, but does he want more than 10? Is he going to get more than 10? I think he might, simply because Raisel Iglesias got $16 million for 1 year from the Braves. Devin Williams might get more. At that time, the Yankees going to tap out. Talk about the Mets. Do the Mets give Diaz $20 million a year for 4 years? And there seems to be a robust market for him. He's probably the best relief pitcher out there right now. Would the Dodgers be interested? That's the one thing the Dodgers failed at last year. Their bullpen was awful. A lot of teams need relief pitching. Will somebody spring for Edwin Diaz, or will the Mets do it? And also out there, Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga, Mets look like they're trying to deal him. He's fascinating to me because when he pitches, he's something else. Because before he hurt his hamstring on the bad throw by Alonso at that game at Citi Field, he was having a tremendous year. He came back, not even close to the same. He's so fragile. But if you keep him healthy, he's working on a $75 million 5-year deal, which has a couple of years left. That's not that much for a guy who has at least number 2.5 starter stuff. Might be a thing to do. Might be a trade that you could make. But the Mets are so light in starting pitching. The fact that they're looking to trade this guy, pretty amazing. 1-800-919-3776. It's time for the co-host, everybody. Let's go to Julian in Virginia. Julian.
Hey, Michael K. Good to talk to you again.
You got it. What's up, man?
So you kind of just covered it already, but my question for you was, what do you think the bullpen plans will be for the Yankees? Because you said today's the non-tender deadline, and I feel about half the Yankees bullpen are non-tender candidates. So do you think they spend any big money on bullpen pieces, or will they go the scrap heap route and try to strike gold with a bunch of reclamation projects? And that's really all I wanted to get from you.
Well, Julian,
so, thank you, Michael.
You got it. Have a good weekend. The thing is, if you look at the Yankees, you could say derisively reclamation projects. They do a good job with that. I mean, Weaver was a reclamation project. He closed in the World Series in 2024. So they know what they're doing in that. Ian Hamilton, a reclamation project. Jake Cousins, a reclamation project. They're great at it. Do I think they could strike at a big money price for somebody? Yeah, but that's where the Grisham contract becomes a little bit of an albatross. Do you have that money to throw around now? I mean, if we're talking about a limit of $300 million, I just don't think it's possible to put this team together at $300 million. Then I think you got an issue. You only have $19 million more to spend. Let's go to Bill in Union. Bill.
Hey,
Hello,
Michael.
Bill.
I love the idea. I love the idea of trading for Tatis Jr., but this guy screams a guy that is not going to play well in New York, just like you touched on with Devin Williams. I mean, this is a guy who's gotten into a motorcycle accident. Why is he on a motorcycle? This is a guy who has had teammates come out and publicly disgrace him and say negative things about him. How bad do you have to be to have your teammates do that? This is a guy who's had problems with the Dodgers and come out and said negative things about that. What's going to happen when he goes and plays against the Red Sox or the Mets?
Yeah, it's a great question, and they certainly, Bill, they have to do the due diligence of what you're talking about. I understand that. They've got a lot of people that played for the Padres that they could reach out to. They could reach out to Kyle Higashioka. They could reach out, I don't know, with Michael King if he would give that information. But the bottom line is talent, in the analytic world, talent supersedes any other worry. That's why the Yankees took a chance on Jazz. Not many teams would have. And he was supposed to be a bad guy. He's not a bad guy at all. I mean, does he talk a lot? Sure. Does he annoy them sometimes? Sure. But I have such faith in a Yankee clubhouse that's led by Aaron Judge and Aaron Boone that I think that they could corral a guy like that because you take a chance on talent like that. You do. Jerry in Virginia.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Good, Jerry. What's up?
So I love the Tatis idea. I had a question, though. Would you rather trade for Tatis, give up a lot of our farm system and young assets, or would you rather sign Kyle Tucker to a more expensive contract and not have to give up any of our farm system?
Yeah, it's a great question. So here's what you have to think about, Jerry. What do you value more? All the money that you're going to have to save if you get Tatis rather than Tucker, because Tucker's going to be over a $400 million contract. Or do you value the farm system? You know, the Yankees made a trade where they gave up a lot that they probably didn't want to give up when they signed or they made the trade for Soto, and that was for 1 year. They had no guarantee that he was going to re-sign with them, and it turned out that he didn't. That was for 1 year. You're getting this guy for 8 years signed at a reasonable price in today's market. Now, the labor dispute that might happen in 2027, I don't know how that impacts making a deal like that. And I'm not saying it's the perfect deal because he's not the perfect player, but boy, he's good. He's dynamic. He's dynamic. He brings eyeballs. You don't think people are going to turn to yes to see when Tatis comes up? You don't think people will buy tickets to see Tatis? He's that sort of inspiring talent. He just is. I'd take a chance. I really would. I would take a chance. It's going to take a lot, though. But, you know, the Padres didn't want to trade Soto. They did it because they had to get rid of that money. So they got as good a deal as they could. How many teams would be willing to take on Tatis? I don't know. Maybe the market is limited. And A.J. Preller likes to make deals. So it's right there. Brian's smart. He's dealt with Preller before. And the Yankees have a lot of depth in that farm system. A lot. And if you get Tatis, Dominguez becomes a trade piece. Spencer Jones becomes a trade piece. And they're going to need pitching because they desperately need pitching. That's the route I would take. Because Tucker is not near the outfielder that Tatis is, although he's not bad and right, but I'm not moving Judge anymore. Judge is my right fielder until he becomes my DH. Whether that's in 2 or 3 years or never, he's my right fielder. I'm not jerking him around, putting him in center. So can Tucker play left field at Yankee Stadium? I don't know. I think Tatis can. Guy transferred from shortstop to right field, won a platinum glove. It's worth investigating. Alan on the Upper West Side. Talk to me, Alan.
Hey, Michael. Listen, with the Veterans Committee coming up with the vote on December 7th, and I know Mattingly, Bonds, and Clemens are some of the big names on the list, my question to you is, there are 7 ex-players that are in the major leagues as part of the 16 people that vote. So you got Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux, Jack Morris, Ryan Berg, Lee Smith, Frank Thomas, and Alan Trammell. And then there's some writers and then a couple of older people, I guess, that are historians. What do you think the feeling is with the ex-players? If Bonds and Clemens have any chance at all, do you think that these ex-players are going to be maybe more lenient with the steroid guys?
You know what? It's a great question, Alan, and I think they'll be tougher than the writers. Because if you look, Bonds and Clemens got 60% of the vote, which is a lot. You have to get 75, but they never made it in their 10 years. I think it's the players that didn't use that are going to be more harsh on them. And I think they had their best chance with the writers. I don't think that they'll get in with that committee. I mean, when there are that many players on it, and of the 16 votes, you have to get 12 of them, I think the players are going to be their biggest impediment.
How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, my friend.
Fan of your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. What are your thoughts? I saw John Boyd reporting yesterday about Corey Seager potentially being a trade target. What are your thoughts there, and do you think we'd have to give up a lot to get him?
For the Yankees?
Given his contract.
For the Yankees.
Yes.
I wouldn't go there. That contract is so onerous. He's only going to get older. That's what we do, right? And he's not the same player that he used to be. He's just not. So I think you could get him. He's 31 years old. I think he has like 6 more years left on that contract. Yeah, I love him as a player. I really do. But he's working on a 10-year, $325 million contract. So that's an average annual value of 32.5. People are saying, well, the Yankees should look. Yankees are not going to do something like that. I know you don't want to hear this. They still believe in Volpe. And Volpe is cost-effective. He's cost-effective. And if you looked at the teams that made the playoffs last year, a lot of them had bad shortstops. And one more thing, because everybody wants you to sign everybody. And the teams that go out on a limb to make those signings, they always regret it. Look, the Rangers want to get out from under that deal, and Seager helped them win a World Series. The Padres want to get out from under the deals that they're in. All these long-term contracts, it's like relationships with someone that you know, they're fun, but it's probably not going to end up well, and you end up going into the relationship anyway. That's what this is. If I'm the Yankees, I would not look at Corey Seager. Now, if they said, we'll eat half the contract, well, I'd think about it. Guy could hit. I'd think about it. But to me, that's a no-go. I wonder how many Yankees. We have Buster Olney coming on in just a moment, and I'll ask Buster about what kind of market there's going to be for this guy. So stay tuned for that. As we talk some baseball, we'll do football a little bit later on. Also some basketball with Fred Katz of The Athletic. Right now at Bay Ridge Honda, experience the wonder of holiday savings on Honda cars, trucks, and SUVs during Happy Honda Days. Like the Accord SE, only $239 per month, or the all-wheel drive Honda Ridgeline for only $289 a month. These clearance deals won't last long. Plus, receive thousands in benefits and savings with their Bay Ridge Plus Advantage plan. Upfront pricing, total peace of mind. Visit BayRidgeHonda.com. 36 months lease, 7,500 miles per year, $38.99 down plus tax, tag, and fees. See dealer for full details.
Not sure who to bet on this weekend, USC or Oregon? The Ducks are favored by 10 points. Will they cover the spread? What about Nebraska or Penn State? The Lions are favored by 9.5 points. Join one of the nation's top sports betting analysts, Joe Wiz, on the Fine Line Saturday at 8 a.m. The season is on the line for the Chiefs as they host the Colts. Plus, the Wiz talks basketball, hockey, soccer, and more. Follow the Wiz on Instagram at Joe Wiz Sports. It's the best bet in town. The Fine Line with Joe Wiz, Saturday at 8 a.m. Be ready to win.
PC Richard & Son gives you their holiday price guarantee. If the price goes lower now through December 24th, they will match it so your price is protected. Only at PC Richard & Son.
All the way over Barzell, score! New York Islanders hockey is back at UBS Arena, and it's time to bring the family and make some noise. With more afternoon games this season, the Islanders have special kids-themed games and activities for young fans. Play games pregame at the park and head inside for fun on the concourse and on the ice. Tickets for the 2025-26 season are on sale now. Get your tickets at NewYorkIslanders.com.
Why do you go to Princeton Longevity Center?
We go to Princeton Longevity Center because my husband's cardiologist told him having this exam saved his life.
Because somehow 20 turned into 40, and now I need to take my health more seriously. The Princeton Longevity Center designed a program to keep me healthy and active, so 50 and 60 will be no sweat.
Because even though my cholesterol is high, it turned out my arteries are clear. That's a big relief.
Whether you want to make the most of your future years or just want peace of mind, you need the Princeton Longevity Center. Their comprehensive preventive exam combines the latest technology with caring experts to create your personal plan for staying well.
Because I shouldn't have to wait an hour for a 10-minute physical. I go to Princeton Longevity Center because I get everything done in one day and take my results home with me.
Find out why you need Princeton Longevity. Call 888-8000-PLC or go to PrincetonLongevityCenter.com. Call 888-8000-PLC. That's 888-8000-PLC.
Listen up, football fans. You won't Never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Hey, fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so like everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are like so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football, it's a pepper thing.
So, since, the winter meeting's coming up at the beginning of February, beginning of December, we're talking some baseball today. And I just gave you my little blueprint for the Yankees with Bellinger and maybe going after Tatis. And listen, I got to be honest. I'm going to be quite frank with you. I've missed talking to Buster Olney. So I said, let's get him on today because I miss him so much. And Buster agreed. Buster, thank you for agreeing. How you doing?
Doing okay. I've been feeling sorry for you. I got to tell you that, though. Okay?
Why?
Because every week you have to talk about the Giants and the Jets and try to make sense of it.
And you know what's funny that you mentioned that because I opened the show. It doesn't get traction anymore. I don't think New York fans care because they're so bad. There's no meat on the bone. There's just not. I mean, we're just making stuff up. So.
Right, you're going down a well and you're wondering where rock bottom is, right? All you're doing is falling and you're not sure when the turnaround's coming.
Absolutely, and it could be a while. So I want to give you my crazy idea, and I've mentioned it the last couple of days. I opened the show with it as well. I think Bellinger's going to cost a lot of money. I don't think that Scott Boras is going to give the Yankees any discounts because Bellinger like playing here. We've seen that before. I say if they can't sign him to a contract that they feel is reasonable, pivot and go to the Padres and make an outrageous offer for Fernando Tatis Jr.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I would co-sign on that for sure. And I do think it's going to be hard for them to re-sign Cody Bellinger. Not to say that that they won't wind up signing him, that it's impossible. I mean, as you know. Cody really enjoyed it this year. He was a perfect fit. But here's the thing, he's bounced from big market to big market to big market. He's totally pliable. I mean, he made it clear on the day he was traded. I'll play wherever you want. Sure, Chicago, yep, did that. Thrived there. Went to the Yankees, thrived there. And he's in a great position. I actually think one of my fun conversations this winter is asking people, how much of a gap is there between Kyle Tucker, who's, regarded generally, as you know, as a better offensive player, and Cody Bellinger, who is a better defensive player, someone who might have more longevity because of the athlete that he is, runs the bases well, the different positions. And the feedback I'm getting is, Kyle Tucker's, going to get a $300 million plus deal, but Cody Bellinger is not going to be that far away from that. And from what I understand, there is a lot of plan, Cody. Who knows if, the Blue Jays get involved, the other big market teams get involved because of the positional flexibility. So I agree with you. I think there is a world in which the Yankees don't sign him back. And Fernando Tatis Jr. would be a great fit, in a lot of ways. He's 100%. He's an excellent defender. He would improve their defense. He's already under contract. And as time goes on, if he continues to, grow as a player, that contract could look very affordable. So I love the idea. And I also think that that phone call to the Padres would be made at a time when, they're going through an ownership change and they're probably looking to shed some salary.
And that's how the Yankees got Soto. They didn't want to trade Soto. They had to shed salary. And when you look at their big money contracts, Buster, Bogarts is untradeable. Darvish is going to be out all year. And Machado, I guess somebody would bite on Machado, but that contract takes him into his 40s. This contract takes Tatis to 37, and it only averages out to under $25 million a year.
100%. And a lot of it depends on sort of what you believe in him and what your information that you get on him is. How would he respond in New York? My instinct is that he's a big stage guy, and he'd be one of those guys. And coincidentally, this week I talked to Craig Stamen, the new manager of the Padres, and he talked about how Fernando Tatis Jr. and all of his talent, and he's looking forward to managing him. But at some point, if you're 100% right, if the Padres are going to shed salary, he's the biggest candidate because Yu Darvish can't move. He's going to have Tommy John. Joe Musgrove is coming back from Tommy John. There's just not a lot of ways to dump money for them, and that would be the most obvious way to go. And the Yankees obviously would be one of the candidates to get him.
All right. In our last segment, a fan from Virginia called up and said, how about the Yankees checking into Kyle Seager? And I like Seager as a player, but that contract to me is onerous. Corey Seager.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there. I mean, it's $32 million a year, and there's 7 more years left on it. Do you think he's tradable?
I do think he's tradable. If there's some financial adjustments, whether it's the Rangers eating some money, whether it's them taking a bad contract back. I mean, I don't think anyone is necessarily untradeable if you're eating money.
Right.
Here's the other thing too is that, and you know this because you talk to people. Corey. Is very respected as a good hitter in big games, but there's always been a question about Corey and how much he wants to, all the other stuff that goes along with being the guy. Aaron Judge embraces that. If the Yankees ask him to do stuff as being the guy, be the leader, he fully embraces that. Corey Seager has made no secret of the fact he doesn't like doing the bells and whistles stuff.
Right.
And if you're a team like the Yankees, the Mets, you're going to want some degree of that. So I don't know if that would chase the Yankees off interest from him, and especially coming to New York.
We're talking with Buster Olney of ESPN right here on the Michael K. Show. I had a problem, Buster, and this isn't like Monday morning quarterbacking. I could not believe, you might disagree with me 100%, I could not believe the Yankees offered Grisham the 1 year deal, the qualifying offer, and he took it, and I think he did the right move because he wouldn't get anywhere close to that in average annual value. Do you think that was a bad move by the Yankees or a good one?
I thought it was a great move, and it's so interesting because I remember the first time you and I talked about it on air. I mentioned it to you, and you thought it was crazy. And I thought just because it was a 1 year contract, and it buys you time. For whether you're counting on younger guys to advance the big leagues, whether you're trying to, go out in the market and you're looking for a right fit somewhere, it gives you some protection if Bellinger leaves. Now that you and I are talking about it, if you can't make a deal for a Fernando Tatis Jr. and it's only 1 year, and I agree with you if you're, given Grisham's history and the fact that the next time he hits free agency, he's not going to be tied to a QO qualifying offer. Draft pick compensation, that'll be good for him. I thought that was a good choice. I loved it for the Yankees. I thought it was exactly the right move.
Well, I just can't see paying that guy $22 million. I said this yesterday, Buster, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Everybody said, well, there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal. Well, that's money you can't spend on the bullpen and a starter that had allocated other ways. If Brian Cashman called up all 29 teams and said, we'll give you Trent Grisham with this contract, you don't have to give us anything back, not one person would take it.
I agree with you in that regard, but I don't think the dollars would be that far off. I think if his price tag was, say, $15 to $18 million, you would get some bites from other teams. You're right. The $22 million salary, it's higher than what people want to pay him, and that's why he took the qualifying offer because
smart.
His representation recognized that. And I think if you're the Yankees, that's one of the luxuries you can do. You can overpay a guy for 1 year. Through the years, they've done that with individual veterans, paying them well on a 1 or 2 year, 3 year contract, in some regards. So it gives them some protection if other things don't work out.
All right, so let me ask you this. Right now, Katz contracts has the Yankees at $281, and they might non-tender a couple of guys today, so it'll go down a smidge. But if Hal Steinbrenner is true when he says he thinks that $300 million is unsustainable, how are they building this team?
Yeah, They could, and I mean, I'm going to agree with you in this regard. I think that's right, but as they go through these deals, like let's say that they do make a deal for Fernando Tatis Jr., I think there would be some salary relief in that, as there was when they acquired Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there necessarily would be a bunch of teams lined up saying, "Hey, we'll take the whole contract," in the way that the Giants did with Rafael Devers. So I think that, they'd be able to get some numbers back. Here's the other thing too, and I agree with you, that they're going to have to rebuild their bullpen. There are so many options. The pool of free agent relievers is so enormous that I mean, it's more like an ocean. and so you're going to be able to go out and get guys on the cheap. It's remarkable. I mean, the other day when we saw them sign a reliever for $2.5 million, that tells you it's not going to be expensive to build that. They're actually in a good shape when their rotation. So I think that Bellinger would be the guy that would push them over. I can't imagine anybody else where they would chase them to a point that would necessarily be an issue.
All right, you mentioned the relievers, so that brings up Edwin Diaz. Is probably the best reliever that's available. Do the Mets definitely keep him, or is there a chance they lose him?
I think there's a chance they lose him because he clearly is the best guy out there. It was surprising to me that, after the Blue Jays lost the World Series, they made it very clear that Jeff Hoffman is not necessarily coming back as their closer. We need to start talking about the Blue Jays in the same realm that we do the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers. I mean, that's pretty clear. When they went after Soto, they went after Shohei Ohtani. I think we all kind of chuckled like, "Oh, those nice little Blue Jays. They don't have a chance." I think the perception about the Blue Jays has completely changed. With this championship run, with what we saw with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And if you're asking me, like, who's the most likely team to take a shot at Diaz, the Blue Jays are right there. I think the Dodgers clearly need an upgrade with their bullpen, and maybe they would look at him. As I say, there are a lot of other options, but I do think the Mets are going to have to compete with them, and it's part of the reason why the perception of other teams is that the Mets right now are trying to figure out other ways to save some money, which is how Brandon Nimmo now finds himself in the middle of these conversations. Because if they're going to shed money, much in the same way that you talked about Tatis Jr. being the quickest avenue to do that for the Padres, I think Nimmo is the most likely guy because he's a guy who still has some value.
I'm intrigued, Buster, about Devin Williams. I watched him all year. I don't know if he was totally comfortable in New York. I thought he ended the season quite well, and I'll be honest, I think he has the best pure stuff of anybody in that Yankee bullpen. But is he going to command big money? And might he come back to the Yankees?
I would be surprised, just because it did feel like all year there was a disconnect there. Now, what I've been fascinated by is the question. I mean, David Stearns knows him probably better than any other executive, given their mutual time in Milwaukee. And this, that, what you hear from analysts is that when they look at Devin Williams' performance this year, they feel like that in some ways he was unlucky. They feel like that actually the underlying numbers suggest that he's going to be pretty good. He's a great candidate for a bounce-back year. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly who's going to strike that. Now, I do think because of the nature of his struggles this year, there are going to be a lot of questions asked about him. Would you give him a multi-year deal? So I'm fascinated by his free agency, like it sounds like you are. I think we're going to be surprised wherever he signs. Where you're going to go, wow, they took a big shot at him. Maybe that's the Dodgers. Maybe it is the Mets. Even after the questions that came up about Devin and whether or not he's comfortable in New York. He's one of those guys that I'm struggling to get a read on.
Do you think that the free agent market, and from the GM meetings, it seems like the answer is no, but do you think the free agent market will be impacted at all by the looming work stoppage?
Not so much. I think the trade market is absolutely going to be impacted by it for this reason, that the teams that maybe were looking at some of their veterans and saying, you know what, let's keep them till next July, for players who are under team control in 2027, 28, et cetera. And I'm thinking of guys like Joe Ryan, Adley Rutschman, Stephen Kwan of the Guardians, guys who might normally would have been on the trade market next summer under team control into 2027, those guys are going to get moved this winter because I think teams understand that next July, if there is uncertainty about the trade market, you're not going to get nearly what you think you should get for a player like that because we don't know about the start of the 2027 season. So I don't think the free agents market's going to be as affected, but the trade market will be significantly affected.
Do you have any positive feelings that there won't be a 2027 work stoppage?
Yeah, I'm not nearly as negative as I think a lot of people are because, for a couple reasons. One, I mean, the owners, yes, I think there's a desire to get a salary cap and more cost certainty, but how far will they push that, knowing what a great season we just had, knowing how marketable the sport is going forward? And I think the big media miss from the last round of labor negotiations was the enormous split between the rank and file among the players and what the leadership stance is. If you remember, the last time we were in labor negotiations, the executive committee voted unanimously to reject the owner deal, and then what happened? It was put before the rank and file players, and they voted overwhelmingly to bulldoze the recommendation of the executive committee because they wanted to work. And so I think that dynamic still exists. I'm going to be fascinated to see if the rank and file players, what their view on the salary cap is versus what the stated belief of the leadership is. I think I've talked to you about this before. It really reminds me of the PED testing issue back in the 90s where the union leadership was, we're never going to have testing. We're never going to do it. And privately, rank and file players are saying, we need to do it. And eventually that sentiment won out. They went to Don Fehr and Gene Orrs at that time, and they agreed to testing. And I wonder about that when it comes to the salary cap. When push comes to shove and the question of working or not working is on the line, what's the actual belief of the rank and file among the players?
Buster, great stuff. I could talk to you for 3 hours, but I'm not going to be unfair. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You got to talk Giants and Jets, Michael.
No, I'll pass on that, my friend. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Okay, thanks. You too.
All right, that's Buster Olney. Great stuff from him. So a little appetizer as, after the Thanksgiving holiday, it's going to be big time with the winter meetings, and there are going to be a lot of free agent signings, too. Hey, the Fall Savings Event continues this November at Bay Ridge Mazda. Lease the 2025 Mazda CX-30S for as low as $169 per month, or the 2025 Mazda CX-5 Select for as low as $229 per month, and get as low as 0.9% APR financing rates on select models. Plus, enjoy 1 year complimentary of Bay Ridge Plus benefits like ding and dent coverage, key replacement, windshield protection, and roadside assistance. Visit them in Brooklyn or online at BayRidgeMazda.com. Bay Ridge Mazda, where confidence comes standard. See dealer for details.
If you've been injured on a construction site, then you need a lawyer who knows New York's unique labor laws. At the Parisman Firm, they have decades of experience handling construction accident cases and a proven track record of delivering huge results. Their team has already recovered nearly $1 billion for hardworking New Yorkers. From scaffold accidents to slip and falls and equipment failures, they've got your back. Call the Parisman Firm now at 718-WORKERS. That's right, 718-WORKERS, because your case is their cause. Get the justice you deserve today.
The Association on Aging in New York is celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act, which funds vital programs for millions of older adults. Services include meals, transportation, home care, Medicare counseling, case management, and caregiver support. Today, people are uncertain whether some programs remain available. We can help. To learn more about these essential programs and how to keep them, visit our website at agingny.org. Sponsored by the Association on Aging in New York.
There are a lot of reasons why people buy at Ramsey Mazda. It's their selection, it's their customer service, and it's their savings. During the More to Move You event, lease a new 2025 Mazda CX-30 2.5S all-wheel drive for $159 for 36 months. Start shopping now at RamseyMazda.com. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda. Call 833-853-2970 for details. VIN SM834925. MSRP $27,055. Zero security deposit. Ends 12/1/25.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-731-4558 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-731-4558 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
ESPN New York is throwing a holiday party you don't want to miss. Join us Friday, December 12th at your mother's house in Garden City Park. We'll be broadcasting the Michael K. Show live from 1 to 3, followed by Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg from 3 to 7, all while supporting a great cause. Bring a toy to benefit the Garden of Dreams Foundation and help make the season brighter for local kids in need. It's the ESPN New York Holiday Party, Friday, December 12th, brought to you by Spike Day, Security Dodge, Amazon Pickup, and ESPN New York.
Well, game time brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. 7:30 p.m., the Nets are in Boston to play the Celtics. That game will be on Yes. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glass up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. Now, I was meaning to talk about this. We'll talk to Fred Katz, the NBA writer from The Athletic, in just a moment. So the Nets are clearly tanking. I mean, not only they're bad, but they're tough to watch. I mean, they're just dreadful. They're absolutely dreadful. So they're doing this because they obviously like some of what they see in terms of the players that could be available. And so there are three players that, you look at and you go, yeah, I would really like that guy on my team. But here's my point. You're going to tank for either Cameron Brooks, the kid from Duke, Darren Peterson, kid from Kansas, and A.J. DeBansa, the kid from BYU. Those are the three top players. And they could really impact the team. That's how good they are. Even if you finish with the worst record in the NBA, you only have a 40% chance of getting one of the top three picks. So you're willing to give away a season, embarrass your organization, charge your fans full price to come to your games, put that product on Yes. You're willing to do all of that. And there's a 60% chance that you will not finish in the top three. And if you think I'm lying, who got Cooper Flagg? The Mavericks defied all the ping pong ball odds, all of them. And they got Cooper Flagg. Did they deserve to get him? No. They didn't have the worst record. But because they're trying to discourage tanking, they put this lottery in place. So would you give up 2 years of your team's existence that you'll never get back, and you'll be losing fans in the process, for a lottery pick? Literally a lottery pick. It's certainly not as ridiculous a chance as Mega Millions or Powerball, but I'm not giving up an entire season for a 40% chance at one of the top three picks. That means that 6 out of 10 times you're going to get something lower. It looks like it's going to be a loaded draft. But remember, the Nets had 5 first-round draft picks last year. What player of those 5, they took all 5, which surprised me. Which player of those 5 moves your needle? Which one? So yeah, you could really hope on a Boozer. You could hope on a Peterson, on a DeBansa. You could dream on them. But it's really, really odd to dream on something where there's a 60% chance you're not going to get the dream. I've come down pretty hard on the Nets. And I like the people at the Nets. They've treated me very, very well. But that's not the point. The point is that you should not really just disrespect your fan base by giving them nothing. Giving them absolutely nothing. That's exactly what you're giving them. This team is not just bad, but it's tough to watch. Hey, the ESPN New York holiday party is back. This show, The Michael K. Show, and Don Hahn and Rosenberg are bringing the holiday cheer at your mother's house in Garden City Park, Long Island. That'll be on Friday, December 12th. Now, we're once again collecting unwrapped toy donations this year to benefit the Garden of Dreams Foundation. All kicks off at 1 p.m. on Friday, December 12th at your mother's house. Brought to you by Amazon Pickup, Security Dodge, and Spiked Aid. We're going to talk more basketball with Fred Katz, who does a great job covering the NBA for The Athletic. I'm going to talk to him, obviously, about the comments made by the coach of the Golden State Warriors about shortening the season. Is Steve Kerr right? Does Fred Katz think that'll ever happen? And other stories around the NBA as well. So stay tuned for that. FanDuel Friday is turning it up with NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, FanDuel is dropping limited time specials to get you in the zone. Boost, bonuses, surprises, all designed to bring that Friday energy. This isn't just another promo, it's your weekly pregame. NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday, 6 to 7:30 Eastern, only on FanDuel, official sports book partner of the NBA. Visit FanDuel.com/K to grab your reward before the clock expires. 21 plus, physically present in New York, opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
This is Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg.
I want them to move forward from what happened. And they want to believe that Dable was the problem and that they eradicated the problem and now everything's going to be good. Now, we all know that Shane Bowen's going to be out of a job at the end of the year. Listen, they don't have enough talent to win a Super Bowl, but they certainly have more talent than should be 2-9. And it just looked different. It looked better.
Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. Weekdays at 3 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Serving contractors, builders, and homeowners in the tri-state area since 1987, Brooklyn Window & Door is New York City's largest stocking dealer of quality Andersen window and doors. The professionals at Brooklyn Window & Door will help solve any of your window replacement needs or applications. Visit Brooklyn Window & Door's award-winning showroom to see the complete Andersen product line, including the 400, 100, A&E series. Andersen, built, backed, and serviced like no other window.
Visit Brooklyn Window & Door at 185 30th Street in Brooklyn or call 718-WINDOWS.
The Hess truck's back and it's better than ever. Roaring engines this year. Hess race cars are here.
The Hess stock car racers are loaded with lights, sounds, and a powerful racing motor. Only at HessToyTruck.com. Free shipping and batteries included.
Make cancer screening a part of your annual healthcare routine. New York Presbyterian offers a full range of cancer screenings, including lung, cervical, prostate, colorectal, breast, and more. Regular cancer screenings could save your life by detecting cancer at its earliest, most treatable stages. Screenings are available across New York City and Westchester. Learn more at nyp.org/cancer screening. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
Right now at Bay Ridge Honda, experience the wonder of holiday savings on Honda cars, trucks, and SUVs during Happy Honda Days, like the Accord SE, only $239 per month, or the all-wheel drive Honda Ridgeline for only $289 a month. These clearance deals won't last long. Plus, receive thousands in benefits and savings with their Bay Ridge Plus Advantage plan. Upfront pricing, total peace of mind. Visit BayRidgeHonda.com. 36 months lease, 7,500 miles per year, $38.99 down, plus tax, tag, and fees. See dealer for full details.
Hey, this is Mika Zibanejad.
Hey, this is Adam Fox. Catch every Rangers game right here on 880 ESPN.
WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
At AT&T, we guarantee our network so you can talk college football with your BFF while taking Buster to the vet.
Hey, yeah, I can't believe he ate the whole thing of chicken wings.
And I can't believe we're staging a comeback. Touchdown!
Yes! Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, you'll automatically get a bill credit for a full day's service. For wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers, must be connected to impacted tower at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details.
Your fantasy roster is set. The Smack Talk is heating up, and this season, ESPN Bet is giving you more ways to ride with your squad. Introducing the ESPN Bet Fan Center, where you can instantly link and bet on your fantasy teams right in the ESPN Bet app. An enhanced sports betting experience only from ESPN Bet, the sports book for sports fans. Make the connection today with ESPN Bet Fan Center and the ESPN Fantasy app. ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Download the app today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So, if you love the NBA, like I do, then you got to read Fred Katz in The Athletic. He's on top of everything. Great writer. Really puts it out there, makes you think with the stuff that he wrote. He has a column out today about Lauri Markkanen, which is really, really interesting, how Markkanen not passing but scoring over 30 points per game, and he's an unselfish player. We'll get into that in a moment, but we welcome Fred to the show. Fred, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you saying that.
Of course. I wanted to start off with the words of Steve Kerr, who intimated that the soft tissue injuries are a result of, the quick and pace in the NBA, and they can't really survive an 82-game season. They should cut back on the season. And, my initial reaction is, you got to be kidding me. Most of these guys don't play 82 games anyway, and there's no way the owners would give up the gates, and no way the players would give up the money. Is there any traction to lessen the inventory, Fred?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'll tell you this. Every year at The Athletic, we do a anonymous player poll, and we get, triple-digit players and stuff on, like, who's your MVP and all that kind of stuff. And one of the questions we did either last year or 2 years ago as a bonus question was, would you be down to shorten the season if it meant taking a lesser cut of your salary? And nobody said yes. I mean, a couple of people said yes, but it was overwhelmingly a no from the players. And I don't think you can go to any industry and say, would you work a little bit less but also make a lot less? And people would be for it on any side, on the management side, on the employee side. I don't think you're going to see it. So as much as people say that kind of stuff, look at the actions of the league. Like, all the league has done is add stuff, right? All they've done is add the in-season tournament. All they've done is add the play-in tournament. Like, they're just adding things because they're searching for more revenue. So, no, I don't think it will ever actually happen, even though it is a noble proposition by Steve Kerr.
I do wonder if it has to anger Adam Silver, and if Steve Kerr got a phone call from the commissioner, because you just cut this multi-billion-dollar television deal with 3 networks, and now, one of your most esteemed coaches is saying, well, let's cut back on the inventory. And I wonder if it's selfishness on Kerr's part, because he has an aging team, particularly Green and Curry. So my reaction to him would be, then play them fewer minutes. So, I mean, and also he does rest them, so I don't exactly know what having 74 games would do compared to 82.
Yeah, I think another part of it too, and this is something that's kind of bopped around the league, especially this season, is the way, and this is some real inside baseball stuff, but the in-season tournament has totally changed the way the early season schedule is now. And so what you have is NBA teams are obsessed now with this idea of rest advantage. There are all these internal analytics that say the team that is more rested wins a disproportionate amount of time than the team that is less rested. And so the NBA has tried to make it so that you have a similar rest advantage, that evens out throughout the course of the season. But because of the in-season tournament, and because in-season tournament games are only played on some Tuesdays and some Wednesdays and every Friday, and because they have that gap in the schedule in December now, what's happened is you have some teams that have these long stretches of off days, and some teams that have tons of these back-to-backs. In Golden State's case, they've had 5 back-to-backs so far. That's the most in the league. I was talking to another team that's had a bunch of back-to-backs, and they were saying they haven't played anybody else who was also on a back-to-back, so they've had a ton of rest disadvantage games so far this year. And that's like a topic in the league right now, and I think that also leads Kerr to say that kind of stuff as well.
Let's shift to the Lakers, because they fascinate me. Without LeBron starting the season with them because of the sciatica, they got off to a great start, and Luka's been unbelievable. Reeves has played very well as well. So LeBron comes back. Is he okay? Because we all know, as great as he is, like all great athletes, they have egos. Is he okay being the second option to Luka Doncic, or is he going to be unhappy?
I don't know the answer, honestly. I think we just kind of have to wait and see. Obviously, Rich Paul had his cryptic statement over the summer, and there has been a lot of conversation that's swirled around LeBron about what his offseason might look like after this one, because he's on an expiring contract for the first time in his entire career, and you don't know what's going to happen. This is the first time where LeBron hasn't been the guy on any team that he's ever played on in his entire life. He's the other guy, but he's not the guy.
Right.
I will say, I thought he played pretty beautiful basketball during his first game. He wasn't crazy moving off the ball all that much. I didn't take that as a LeBron not trying thing. I took that as a this guy just had sciatica and is about to be 41 years old thing. I thought his passing was unbelievable in that game. I mean, obviously he's one of the greatest passers of all time. But some of the moves, some of the passes he made in that game, especially out of the post, he was using these pick and rolls with Doncic and with Reeves to get into post-ups, and he was facilitating out of those, and it was gorgeous, especially in that fourth quarter. He had a couple of incredible dimes, one to Jackson Hayes for a dunk, another one to a cutter down low, which got a dunk from the left side of the post. Like, he was a really beautiful distributor. I also think, this team is good. If this team stunk or something, then maybe it would be more of an issue. But like you just said, they're balling out right now. Offensively, they're awesome, and their role players are playing well. Rui Hachimura is having an incredible season for them, easily the best year of his career. He has been great. Ayton has been a good pickup. He's shooting 70% from the field right now. So you enter LeBron into this with Reeves as a guy who's just this incredible scorer and facilitator now as well. This offense could be one of the most potent offenses in the entire league, and I wonder about their defense. But this is a good situation for a 40-year-old all-time great to be in, where you've got two young, incredible facilitators and off-the-dribble scorers. You've got good role players around him, and LeBron, who has always been the guy who just makes the right basketball play, can just make the right basketball play and still get numbers probably. I think it's actually a great situation for him, and we'll see if he agrees with me or not.
We're talking with Fred Katz of The Athletic here on the Michael K. Show. So let's talk about Luka to the Lakers, because that ended up getting Nico Harrison fired. Was that a power struggle that was won by Mark Cuban, who lost a lot of power when he sold the club, and did Nico Harrison deserve to be fired?
Yeah, I think he did deserve to be fired. I think it's hard to argue otherwise. It wasn't just the quality of the trade. It was the way the trade happened. It was, whether you go by results, the trade was a disaster. Whether you go by process, the fact that Nico Harrison kind of decided he was going to trade this one guy, spoke to one team, didn't get the best package from that one team that he could have, and then justified it with stuff that didn't make as much sense, saying, essentially they wanted to shorten their window. They're the first team in sports history that actively said they wanted to shorten their window for some reason when they had a long window and they just made the finals. It didn't make any sense. The process behind it didn't make sense. And speaking to people there and being around that team some the last couple of years, it was so toxic in that organization, just the constant calls in Dallas, the fire Nico chants. It had seeped into every single part of that organization, and it was going to be a toxic, unmanageable workplace until they made that decision. It really was. And I considered it an inevitability this summer. I didn't think it was going to happen as soon as it did, but once the Mavs get off to such a bad start and Kyrie is hurt and Anthony Davis is hurt and, you're 4-12 or whatever they are right now, it's like, that moment's coming. I didn't know it was coming the exact moment it did, but it's an inevitability.
It just, the thing that jumped out at me when it happened, when the trade actually happened, I think the most egregious thing is you mentioned, okay, I'm going to do it to the Lakers, and I'm not going to even explore it. Mikal Bridges got the Nets 5 first-round draft picks from the Knicks. I mean, if he would have offered around Luka Doncic, he would have gotten a Herschel Walker sort of deal. So he, as great as Anthony Davis is, he is injury-prone. That right there is almost a fireable offense. And the fact that, Dumont, the governor, actually said, yeah, do the deal, some of it's on him, too. I think he's trying to clean his hands of it.
Oh, no question. You notice he put out a statement after about it, committed, did not mention the Luka trade, did not mention his part in the Luka trade.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right about Patrick Dumont. I think what happened is the Adelsons buy the team. Patrick Dumont becomes the principal owner and the controlling owner and the guy who is operating it on a day-to-day basis, the new Mark Cuban. And he doesn't have knowledge of the NBA. He doesn't have knowledge of the league, of the sport. And so what happens is he leans on the people who are already there. And he figures, you know what, Nico Harrison's in this job. He's running a team. He came to me. He said, we need to do this. And I'm going to trust that the person who has this job knows what they're doing. Turned out it was not worth doing. That being said, an owner has a responsibility to educate themselves to some degree on the team that they control. And they certainly have a responsibility to do their due diligence, just like in any business decision that has major consequences. They have to do their due diligence before allowing any sort of significant transaction to go through. Dumont didn't want to pay Luka Doncic the Supermax. If you're not going to pay the Supermax to Luka Doncic, who are you going to pay it to?
Right.
He deserves blame for that as well. I agree with you completely. Harrison was the one who had the idea, who pushed the idea, and who executed the idea, but it was all done with, at the very least, the permission of Dumont and clearly without enough pushback to make any difference in disrupting either the timeline or the decision-making or the way the deal went down.
Let's talk about Mitchell Robinson, who I've talked about a lot this week, and he's a big part of your story in The Athletic today. He's had a phenomenal season in terms of rebounding, specifically offensive rebounding. You point out in your story that he's also been passing the ball very well and in the right way, getting it out to a three-point, not just passing it out. And the one thing that I brought up, because I try to play this out, he can't play every game because of the management of the ankle. He can't shoot free throws. I'm just wondering, Fred, when he becomes a free agent at the end of this year, what kind of money does this player get? Because he's great at one thing, but he's so limited in other things. What kind of money would he command?
That's such a great question. I have asked this question to a lot of people in the league, and you know what happens? I ask this to people, and they say, I have no idea.
Right.
And nobody in the league even really has a value. Their answer is, well, let's wait and see if he can play real minutes, see if he can play the season. I'll tell you this. Jonathan Isaac, great defensive player when he was healthy for the Orlando Magic, got a contract that paid him. Isaac had serious injuries, was out for multiple years, and got to a point where he literally couldn't play more than 15, 20 minutes a night. When he did play, he was one of the tier one fantastic defensive players in the league. But he had more ball skills than Mitchell Robinson, but he wasn't a shooter, he wasn't a passer, he wasn't a creator. He was one of the elite defenders in the league. And Jonathan Isaac, based on just that, because of his size and his ability to guard everybody, his rim protection, everything else, got a deal that got him about $15 million a year. But it was a really interesting structured contract. There were all of these injury provisions put in there. So if he didn't play a certain number of games or whatever else, the contract wouldn't guarantee for the following season. And I could see somebody doing something like that with Mitchell Robinson, because he is more than just a rebounder, because he's an excellent defensive center. I mean, his motor is incredible. His rim protection has really become fantastic. And I would say the best part of his defense is his ability to guard the back end of pick and rolls is as good as pretty much anybody else's in the league. He's a fantastic positional defender. He's huge. He knows exactly how to use his arms. He disrupts passing lanes all the time. You can't get the ball to the roller. He's great at guarding the ball handler and the screener at the same time, which is such an unbelievably difficult thing to do. You just need to have the instincts plus the size plus the athletic ability to do that, and so few people can do that, and he can. I think he'll get money, but I could also see like injury provisions in that deal. If he gets to a point, he's not going to play back-to-backs this year, but if he gets to a point where he's playing 25 plus minutes a game and he can play 50, 55 games, like I think he gets right now. He makes $15 million. I think he gets more than, or he makes 12.9. It was a decrease in contract. I think he gets at least 15 would be my guess. That's around the mid-level exception.
I also have some trepidation, though, Fred, because everything that you're saying with him defensively, he could guard. I mean, there's a video of him guarding all 5 positions. He's tremendous, and the rebounding speaks for itself. But when he's on the court, it's 4-on-5 for the Knicks offensively. He has no offensive game at all.
No, well, here's the thing. The offensive rebounding is so incredible that it genuinely makes up for that. It gets the Knicks extra possessions. The Knicks right now have the 3rd-ranked offense in the league in terms of points per possession, and a huge reason for that is their offensive rebounding. They are really good at offensive rebounding, and you mentioned what I wrote about today. They're really good at offense after offensive rebounding. People talk about how often you get offensive rebounding, but how often you get offensive rebounds. But there are teams that whose offenses kind of stall after they get offensive boards, and the Knicks are quick, and he's a huge reason why he's so great after getting that offensive rebound of kicking it back out. And the Knicks create a ton of threes of offensive rebounds, and they are very, very, very good at that. Mitchell Robinson's a huge part of it. When you're gobbling up that many offensive rebounds, you're just going to out-possession the other team. And it's also exhausting for the other team. So if you look at the numbers, the Knicks offense is still incredibly elite when Mitchell Robinson's on the floor. And that's been the case for years now. And the reason why is even though you're kind of playing 4-on-5, it's because you're playing 4-on-5 until the shot is released. And then what happens is you got maybe the best rebounder in the whole league. It's him or Steven Adams going up for a ball, and he's changing everything. Like he's rebounding 26% of missed shots when he's on the floor this year, just on the offensive boards. That's a higher percentage than some teams. I mean, it is insane what he's doing, and it completely throws off the balance of the possession game. And if you can get 10 more shots than the other team, even if you only make 4 of them, that's just 8. You're just starting with an 8-0 advantage right there.
Yep.
I mean, some of them are threes. You're starting with a 10-0 advantage. So it really offsets all the stuff he doesn't do offensively.
All right, final thing. Is OKC a 70-win team this year?
Yeah. I kind of thought they would be coming into the year. I totally think so now. They got 1 loss. They haven't had
And they
Jalen
don't seem
Williams.
complacent at all.
No, that's not the attitude of this team. I mean, this team is still really young, and they act like they have something to prove. They have for a while. They're very young. They're very hungry. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like that, but the rest of this roster is like that. The Thunder have made a very conscious effort to go out and get personalities who are like that. You know, Lou Dort is an undrafted guy who always feels like he has something to prove. You know, Jalen Williams fell to the end of the lottery, and he hasn't even played this year. Chet Holmgren has missed time. Isaiah Joe has missed time. Aaron Wiggins has missed time. Alex Caruso has missed time. And they've got 1 loss. And they are destroying everybody. And their defense is so much better than everybody else's in the league. It's not even close. They're allowing like 103 points per 100 possessions. The difference between them and second place at 109 points per 100 is the same as the difference between second place and like 20-something. They are so much better than every other team in the league defensively. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll pretty decent chance they're going to get better because they're not healthy right now and they're still killing everybody.
And to make it worse for the rest of the NBA, they have the Clippers' first-round pick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they could get the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Imagine if they end up with Darren Peterson.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Uproar.
Presti does some job. He really
so
does.
Well built. Yeah,
Fred,
I mean, there's a pretty good chance that they're set up better than any team in league history.
Good for them. They did it the right way. Thank you for coming on. Have a great weekend. If we don't talk to you, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Michael. Same to you.
You got it. Fred Katz, read his story in The Athletic today. You know, just to piggyback on the Dallas thing, people that sell teams, right, like Mark Cuban did. So I think Cuban still owns like 26% of the Mavs, but he doesn't control them at all. So he decided to cash in. I don't blame him. And he thought he was still going to have a say in basketball matters. And Nico Harrison elbowed him out and didn't have a direct line to Patrick Dumont. So what I'm saying is you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't cash in and then expect to still run the team. Who would buy a team if they weren't going to run the team? Because as Woody Johnson once told me, buying a team, you'll make money when you sell the team. But if you put that money, let's just say in an S&P 500 index fund, you're going to make way more money than you would holding on to the team. So you buy a team for the ancillary stuff where, you build around it, you build a new arena with everything around it where you control that, and they want to build the casino in Dallas as well. So Cuban thinking that he was going to have a say in basketball matters when he sold 75% of the team, silly, which brings us to the Los Angeles Lakers. Jeannie Buss sold the Lakers for $10 billion to Mark Walter. And if that name sounds familiar to you, Mark Walter is the guy who owns the Dodgers. So she made an agreement in the agreement that she was still going to run basketball operations for 5 years after selling the team. I'll make you all a little fun bet for sarsaparilla. She's not running basketball operations for 5 years. Mark Walters is not spending $10 billion of his money to sit back and let Jeannie Buss run the team. And one of the first things they did, they just fired both of her brothers. So you can't get the old proverbial cake and eat it too. You can't cash in on your team and then expect to run it as well. And I'll bring you back. Some of you might be too young to remember this. George Steinbrenner was going to sell the Yankees to Jim Dolan and the Dolan family, Charles Dolan, the patriarch. But Jim was going to run it like he runs the Knicks and the Rangers. And the codicil in the contract was that Jim Dolan was going to allow George Steinbrenner to run the teams for however long. I don't remember the exact timing. And it was almost a done deal. I mean, how the world would be different, right? Do you realize that George Steinbrenner figured out nobody's going to pay me all this money for this team and then let me run it? It's not likely. And the people that have the money to make those deals, they're barracudas. You think they're going to let somebody else play with their toy? So Steinbrenner backed out. Otherwise, Dolan would still be owning the Yankees. But Steinbrenner was going to run the Yankees, the Rangers, and the Knicks. And he wasn't going to own them, a majority of them. But he backed out of it. Well, Jeannie Buss didn't back out of it. I want to see her run basketball operations for 5 years with Mark Walter. Just like Mark Cuban thought that he was still going to be running basketball operations with the Mavericks after selling them to the Adelson family. It doesn't work out that way. It never does. It never does, and people should know that. Nothing for nothing in this world. Nothing for nothing. Hey, Motley Crue is celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Carnival of Sins at PNC Bank Art Center. That's on Friday, July 31st, 2026. We here at ESPN New York, we have your chance to score tickets on the ESPN New York app. Find the contest tile and submit your entry. Brought to you by Live Nation. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. We have two-pack for sure coming up at the end of the hour. We want to talk with you, my co-host, give you a chance as we finish up another great week. You know the number to apply for the job of co-host, 1-800-919-3776. We got a lot to do. We got about a half hour to do it. Hey, it's Michael K. talking to you about my friends at PC Richard & Son. They're local, family-owned, and I trust them, and you can too. Right now, get Black Friday deals throughout the store. And with their holiday price guarantee, your price is protected. If the price goes lower from now through December 24th, they're going to match it. That's pretty neat, right? You can't beat it. Plus, you get fast and free delivery. PC Richard & Son, the company you can trust for over 116 years. Free delivery excludes Manhattan.
This is DiPietro and Rothenberg.
I got a really bad paper cut yesterday because it wasn't your guard variety. It was on one of those big holiday magazines that you get. Oh, no. Swipe through, and all of a sudden I was like, oh! It was a big, thick book, and I put my index finger there and just swiped across. I was like, oh! I'll tell you. And now I'm going to have to live with that.
It's probably going to be a scar.
Morning Start with DiPietro and Rothenberg. Weekdays from 6 to 10 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Is college even worth it these days? At Empire State University, it actually is. They are SUNY's leading online university. Flexible, affordable, and built for real life. With more than 120 degree programs, you can study what matters most to you. And students agree. They're ranked #1 in student satisfaction among SUNY schools. Whether you are finishing what you started or starting fresh, your goals are within reach. See for yourself. Visit SUNYEmpire.edu before the next term begins.
At Jake's 58 Casino Hotel this November, it's your chance to gobble up the green and feast on your share of $55,000 cash. Earn entries all month long and join us on Friday, November 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. 2 winners will be drawn every hour to win up to $10,000 cash. Then at 7 p.m., 1 lucky winner will take home a grand prize of $20,000 cash at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel.
If gambling is a problem for you or someone you care about, please call the 24-hour toll-free helpline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Serving contractors, builders, and homeowners in the tri-state area since 1987, Brooklyn Window & Door is New York City's largest stocking dealer of quality Andersen window and doors. The professionals at Brooklyn Window & Door will help solve any of your window replacement needs or applications. Visit Brooklyn Window & Door's award-winning showroom to see the complete Andersen product line, including the 400, 100, A&E series. Andersen, built, backed, and serviced like no other window.
Visit Brooklyn Window & Door at 185 30th Street in Brooklyn or call 718-WINDOWS.
Michelle's Moment here for Gainbridge and their Give Back program, Gainbridge Assist, powered by Parity. Gainbridge and Gainbridge Assist, powered by Parity's goal is to empower girls and women through sports and education, providing 32 organizations in 21 states $222 of grant funding during 2025. These grants aim to level the playing field and expand access to sports and education for girls and women across the country. Here's to a future with no limits for women's sports with Gainbridge and Gainbridge Assist, powered by Parity.
Rich Eisen here. As you all know, I care deeply about pediatric cancer research and awareness. That's why I'm proud to talk about Hyundai Hope on Wheels. For over 27 years, every Hyundai sold has helped fund life-saving pediatric cancer research. Together with over 850 dealers nationwide, they've raised more than $277 million, supporting over 25,000 kids in their fight against cancer. At Hyundai, hope isn't optional. It comes standard. Visit HyundaiUSA.com and search Hyundai Hope on Wheels to learn more.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So I came upon this little item, kind of stunning to me. All right, so they're going to make Disney's going to make Frozen 3 and 4. Frozen, an incredibly popular animated movie, and then Frozen 2 did quite well. I've probably seen each movie 30 times because when kids are little, they watch a movie. They watch it every day, like it's the first time they've ever watched it. So obviously they made a lot of money for Disney, but so they've signed up to do Frozen 3 and 4. Frozen 3 is coming out 2027. Frozen 4, the date not known when it will be released, but they are going to be made concurrently. So it could be coming out in 2028. But here's the thing that just caught my eye. Idina Menzel, Kristen Bell, and Josh Gad are the voices of the main characters. To do these two movies, again, they're not on camera. They're just voicing over the animation. They're getting $60 million a piece. So what I would say to everybody that begrudges an athlete for making huge money. Oh, Soto doesn't deserve that. How could they give Judge that money? Why should LeBron make that? Why would a guy like Josh Allen make all that money? $60 million a piece to voice over animation. They don't have to dedicate their lives to keeping their body in order or anything like that. Nutritionally healthy, anything like that. Because being a sports star, it takes an unbelievable commitment in your life to be great. And I'm sure there's an unbelievable commitment for their voices and things like that. But if they could make $60 million each to voice over animated characters, then really, you all have to really check yourself when you criticize how much athletes make. Why is it okay? Because we can't picture ourselves doing what Josh Gad and Kristen Bell and Adina Menzel did, but we can picture ourselves playing? We can't play. If we could, we would. So the jealousy of what people make in sports, it has to stop, because nobody says a word about what actors make and actresses make and singers make. Nobody says a word. But we always have something to say when an athlete cashes in. And sometimes I feel that way too. But it is what it is. Frozen 3 is going to bring in a lot of money for Disney. A lot of people are going to see it in the movies. They'll make their money back. But it shows you how much money they'll make when they're committing $180 million to 3 voices. And then we have the nerve. We have the nerve to criticize athletes that are making $50 million a year. And for a baseball player, their season starts February 12th in spring training. And if you're lucky enough to go to the World Series, the beginning of November. I don't think it's going to take that long to voice over Frozen 3 and 4. Just saying. And that's not knocking these people. Incredibly talented. Menzel is one of the great voices of all time. I get it. I understand it. But we do have to tamp down the criticism of athletes making so much money when people in entertainment make that kind of money. That's all there is to it. Let's go to Steve in Wurtsboro. Steve.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What are the odds that the 49ers would trade Mac Jones for a couple of picks that the Jets have?
Well, I mean, they do have Brock Purdy signed to a long-term deal, and Mac Jones certainly did well. But if I'm the Jets, I would have some reservation about doing that, because Mac Jones did not play well with the Patriots, and the Jets have shown no inclination to have any offensive idea on what to do with a player like that. I think that Mac Jones is excelling because of who his head coach is, Kyle Shanahan, and the offensive system that he's built. But would the 49ers consider it? Of course they would. If they could cash in big time by trading essentially a backup quarterback, why not? But if I'm the Jets, I'm not sure I would go that route. Let's go to Glenn in Connecticut. Glenn.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, man. What's up?
Yeah, I finished part 3 of the A-Rod documentary last night.
I didn't see the last one. How was it?
It was incredible. A-Rod, Alex was awesome. You were awesome. I thought everyone who partook in the documentary was awesome. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go see it. It's definitely a great documentary.
Let me ask you a question since you watched it. And I thought episode 2 was so incredibly honest and raw. I mean, talk about exposing yourself, cutting open veins. I can't believe he did it, Glenn.
Yeah, he was super vulnerable. I thought it was really cool to see that side of Alex and see how much he's grown and just the person he's really become. And that kind of led me to my next point, that Yankee universe, how they like to fantasize and everything about potentially Alex being a Yankee manager at some point. At this point in his life, I think he seems pretty content with where he's at, and I don't see him doing anything like that. I think he's kind of goodbye to baseball, had his piece, and he's pretty happy where he is at the moment.
Let's look at several things about that, Glenn. Alex Rodriguez is literally a billionaire. He has so many businesses. He owns half of the Timberwolves, which is literally 50% of the Timberwolves, with his financial partner. And the Timberwolves right now could be sold for $4.5 billion. They paid $1.5 billion for it 3 or 4 years ago. I don't even know how he keeps up with the schedule that he has. The business meetings. He owns so many different businesses. His hands are in so many things. I simply don't think that there would be time there for him to be a manager from February 12th until the end of October. I think that the thought of it would probably intrigue him because he loves baseball so much, but his life would have to change dramatically for him to even accept it. Now, as for the Yankees, I mean, he sued the Yankees. So I just don't see that ever happening. And, he's made some pointed comments about Brian Cashman Now, as long as Cashman is in charge, there's no way that Cashman would hire A-Rod as the manager. So I just don't, just the structure of his life, the amount of money that he has. Now, can I see him maybe buying a team one day and running it that way? Yeah, but the day-to-day angst of running a baseball team and being a manager, I just can't see him doing it. And unless there's a drastic change in Yankee management, I can't see the Yankees bringing him in. Now, you could say, well, he sued Major League Baseball, and, he's one of the lead voices on Fox, and, he's very close with Manfred. Yep, I call him Lazarod. He has risen from the dead, so I wouldn't put anything past him, but I don't think that's something that would intrigue him. No, I take it back. It would intrigue him, but I don't think that that's something that he could fit into the busy life that he has. Joe in the Bronx. Joe.
Hey, what's going on, Michael?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Also watched the A-Rod documentary. I watched actually the first 2 episodes yesterday. I did not watch the third yet.
Second one's unbelievable, right?
The second one was unbelievable. I love the way it ended, how, he goes from winning the World Series to the Red Sox when they threw the pitch at him. It was awesome. And I loved your storytelling also.
Oh,
I
thanks.
thought it was great. So, yeah, I just wanted to hit on a quick Knicks point. I think it's actually kind of weird how the Knicks are awesome at home, but they're not great on the road. And then the Rangers are kind of the opposite. They kind of suck at home, and they're a bit better on the road. Obviously, they're not as good as the Knicks, but, it's kind of the opposite. So I was thinking, what do you think you would rather? Would you rather be great at home and suck on the road, or the opposite?
I think I'd rather be great at home and, be okay. I don't want to stink on the road, but if I could be 500 on the road and dominate at home, I think that's a recipe to win. I don't think that we should get that caught up in the home and road record yet, at least for the Knicks. Because if you look at the home, they had a long homestand, and most of the games were against really bad teams. So the one game that they've lost at home was to Orlando, and that's a really good team, and has the potential to be very good. But they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. We'll see. I think it will even out. I don't think that they're going to be bad on the road all year. I think it will even out. And as a team grows closer, and this team's pretty close because they've been together, road games are a little bit of a respite. You don't have the people pulling at you for tickets and stuff like that. And, you have to entertain people after games and all of the stuff that goes along with it. So I think the Knicks will be fine on the road. I really do. Let's go to John in Bethlehem. What's up, John?
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Good. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I wanted to chime in on 2 things. I've heard everything you've said about the Grisham sign. I do not. For the life of me, I can't figure that out. They have to have something else in mind. It just doesn't. If you and I and everyone else can think of how this doesn't make sense, obviously Cashman must know that it doesn't make sense. Unless
they're thinking on a different plane than us, John. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe we're just not bright enough to figure it out.
They have to be, and when that other shoe drops, I'll call back in and we'll have a different conversation.
I promise you, I'll do the same thing because I want to see how this plays out. This is just an unfinished puzzle right now.
It is an unfinished puzzle. That's a good way to put it. The only other thing I wanted to chime in on was the A-Rod documentary. I haven't seen part 3 yet, but parts 1 and 2 were fantastic. I'm looking forward to part 3. I thought it was incredibly insightful when they asked his ex, tell us what you thought of Alex when you met him and started knowing him. And she said she felt sorry for him, that he was socially awkward. And, you can almost sense that now even. After all this time, he just doesn't come across well socially, at least to me. You know him, I don't, but that's just the perception I get of watching him day in and day out as a Yankee fan. But she felt sorry for him because she said if he wasn't hitting, he was throwing. If he wasn't throwing, he was running. If he wasn't running, he was watching tape. His whole life was so consumed that he had no ability to socialize properly. And incredible. That was great.
Yeah, and you know what? If he comes across awkward, John, I think it comes down to this, and I might have said this when they interviewed me in the documentary, maybe didn't make it, but I think a lot of it stems from the fact that his dad left when he was 10 years old. and he kind of shapeshifts and wants to be liked. So he might be different standing in front of Michael Kay than he is standing in front of Warren Buffett. I mean, I think there are different levels of A-Rod, but I think the one thing that has helped Alex the most in his life are his daughters. I think when you see him around those young ladies, and they have turned into really incredible young people, he's a different person. That's the real Alex Rodriguez. I mean, we did a couple of the K-Rod shows at his home in Miami, and after the game, he had, he had a chef at home that made us a wonderful dinner, and his daughters joined us. And they had real conversations about life. And I think that I don't want to say humanized him, because, he's always been a human being, and he was flawed like we all are, and he still is. But I think that they bring out the best in him. And as they've gotten older and they've become young ladies, I think his youngest daughter just turned 18 the other day. His other daughter is a junior in Michigan. That's the real Alex. He doesn't have to put on airs around them. He's their dad. And if you watch the documentary, it's on HBO Max. The star of the documentary to me, the one who's most honest, is Cynthia, his ex-wife. The stuff that she had to go through. She talks about the infidelities and things like that. And, while they were married, he was with Madonna, allegedly. She really lays it out there. She knows him better than anybody. And the fact that she lived through all that, they got divorced, and at every big event that he ever has, she's there with her new husband. She's there. That's how close they are. So I think the public only gets to see so much, and when I was on the outside looking in, I only got to see so much. I think he's just a people pleaser, and he changes his personality for everybody he meets. But when you see him in that circle, that closed circle, and he has a closed circle, that's the real him. And I think you saw some of that in the documentary, but I don't know if you will ever really know the real Alex. And I don't even know that I know the real Alex, but I think I'm closer to knowing the real Alex than I did when he was just a Yankee and I didn't know him on that level. Let's go to John in Manhattan. Johnny.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, John.
So I've been a Yankee fan for over 50 years.
Wow.
And I remember the good times and the bad times. And during the 80s when I grew up, the Yankees went through from 81 until they won in 96. We had 9 general managers.
Yep.
We haven't won since 2009, and we have had 1 general manager. What exactly does Cashman have to do, I guess, for the Yankees to release him from his job description? Because I'm at a loss for understanding. It seems to be that the Yankees now, we make the playoffs, and apparently that is when I grew up with George Steinbrenner, it was win or bust. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems to be we have accepted essentially some sort of mediocrity to some degree regarding playoff performance. And I'm asking you, what do you think actually is going to take for him to be like? Does he write his own ticket that he's going to stay? He gets to leave on his own terms? Because this is New York. I can't believe he gets away with this for 16 years.
All right, let's talk about this because it's an interesting point. So we talk about the 80s, right? And the Yankees did make the playoffs, although I think they won the most games in the 80s. And during that time, they kept changing managers and GMs. And if you remember, John, because you're a 50-year fan, people did not like George Steinbrenner. And when he got suspended, we talked about this the other day, I was there that night, and the crowd at Yankee Stadium was cheering when he got suspended. So, I mean, that wasn't the perfect way either. Now, when you ask me what does it have to take, what it has to take is that for a couple of years in a row, they're not competitive. They don't make the playoffs. Attendance dwindles. And I still think that he would have an easy exit. John, I think he's better than you think he is. I really do. Is he the perfect GM? I think he's stubborn sometimes. He's certainly set in his ways. I think he's loath to admit mistakes, and a lot of people in those positions are. But you said that George Steinbrenner used to say, World Series a bust. Hal Steinbrenner's never said that. Nobody from the Yankee organization, other than George Steinbrenner, the organization upstairs, has ever said World Series a bust. Jeter has. Judge has. But the people that own the team and run the team, they've never said that because it's unreasonable. So I'll bring this up. If, in fact, it's World Series or bust, you mean to tell me that they went to Game 5 of the World Series and lost to the Dodgers in 2024? That was a bust of a season? That was a failure? I don't think so. I think it was a disappointment. But I think as long as every year they have a chance to win, I think he's good. I think there's something to be said for putting it together a team every single year that has a chance to win. And you can't say, well, everybody could do it. The Mets had a $340 million payroll last year, and they didn't make the playoffs. So there have been a couple of years when Brian's the GM that they haven't made the playoffs, but almost every year they have. And you come into spring training every year thinking legitimately they have a chance to win the World Series. Every year. I don't think that can be dismissed. I could hear the aggravation in your voice, John, but I think that, according to the Yankee ownership, they think Brian's done a really, really good job. Is there disappointment they haven't won a World Series? Yes, but they're always competitive and they always have a chance. 2-pack for sure coming up. The Fall Savings event continues this November at Bay Ridge Mazda. Lease the 2025 Mazda CX-30S for as low as $169 per month on the 2025 Mazda CX-5. Select for as low as $229 per month and get as low as 0.9% APR financing rates on select models. That's right. Plus, enjoy 1 year complimentary of Bay Ridge Plus benefits like ding and dent coverage, key replacement, windshield protection, and roadside assistance. Visit them in Brooklyn or online at BayRidgeMazda.com. Bay Ridge Mazda, where confidence comes standard. See dealer for details.
To help those who want to be helped but may not be able to afford it.
That's what PGA Tour winner Grayson Murray had envisioned for a foundation before he sadly took his own life at just 30 years old. His parents channeled their grief into creating the Grayson Murray Foundation, carrying out his vision to help those struggling with mental health and addiction. To donate and learn more, visit GraysonMurrayFoundation.com.
This is Rick Brunson, the assistant coach from the New York Knicks. I'll be driving to our games this season in style in my new Jeep Gladiator from Princeton Jeep. My friends at Princeton Jeep gave me all-star treatment, and you can expect the same thing. Just mention I sent you, and they'll treat you like family. Princeton Jeep has tons of inventory and great deals on new vehicles. Visit Princeton Jeep at 1045 State Road in Princeton, New Jersey, or online at PrincetonJeeps.com and tell them Rick Brunson sent you.
Friends, it's football season, the best time of the year. You should be out there tailgating, cheering on your team, and enjoying every Sunday. But if you're dealing with neck pain, back pain, sciatica, or nerve pain, even getting off the couch can feel like a challenge. You don't have to live like that. There's help. Dr. Jay Shaw at Sandwell Pain is New Jersey's top pain specialist. He's Ivy League trained, double board certified, and is dedicated to helping you get back in the game. Here's what makes the difference. No surgery, no scars, no long recovery, no pain medication. Just precise, non-surgical image-guided procedures that deliver real results. Dr. Shaw treats neck pain, back pain, joint pain, migraines, nerve pain, and sciatica with a plan that's customized for you. Same-day and next-day appointments are available, and with offices in Woodbridge, Livingston, and Inglewood, relief is always close. So don't let pain keep you on the sidelines this season. Visit SandwellPain.com to call, text, or book online. Most major insurances are accepted. That's SandwellPain.com. Relief is closer than you think, and it starts today.
Clinton Yates here. The holidays are upon us, and so are the savings at Total Wine & More. Discover thousands of wines, spirits, and beers like my favorite, IPAs, perfect for every celebration and every budget. From bold reds to sparklers, you'll find the perfect wines to raise a glass this season. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find only at Total Wine & More. Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. See TotalWine.com for details. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
A SoFi personal loan is here to help you achieve something once thought impossible: overcoming high-interest credit card debt. Walk the tightrope of your finances with one low, fixed-rate monthly payment, no fees required, and as soon as the same-day funding. That's right. Pull off your own debt-defying stunt with a SoFi personal loan. Visit SoFi.com/trick to learn more. Loans originated by SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891.
You live for this. The wins, the losses, the slam dunks, and the buzzer beaters. The dream that this is your team's year. Hope. It's what keeps you coming back. So you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when everything's on the line, your support means everything. That's why the NBA Store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Oh, yeah, baby. 2-pack for sure. It's not been a good stretch for me. No. I don't lie. 0-3-1 the last 2 weeks. Last week, though, the power of a hook. We always talk about it, right? So I pushed with the Pats. I gave 13 points, and they beat the Jets by 13. Killer. So that's a push. Then I lost by a half point. I gave 7.5 with the Ravens, and they won by 7. Stinks. I'll try to do better for you, my people. All right, the Chiefs are at home against the Colts. The Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites over the Colts. Colts have been very good, very good. But I look at this Chiefs team, and the playoffs are slipping away. I mean, if not now, when? They've got to start winning games. I wouldn't say this is a must-win, but they got to start posting some W's. Also, Arrowhead's a tough place to play. Loud. Daniel Jones, in the toughest place he's played so far this year on the road in Pittsburgh, he didn't play well. Worst game, actually. So it's going to be interesting to see how he responds to the noise at Arrowhead and how the Chiefs respond to their season being on the line. I mean, Travis Kelce has come out and said, we got to put all the distractions aside. We got to concentrate. So give me the Chiefs. I think they win by a touchdown in this game. Now, I usually take favorites, but I'm going to take an underdog next. The Steelers are 2.5 point underdogs to the Bears. This is in Chicago. The Bears are 7-3. Ben Johnson's a brilliant offensive mind. He really is. He's changed the way we look at Caleb Williams. But are they that good? You know, they barely beat Washington and the Raiders. Two bad teams. I think they beat them each by 1 point. And they somehow beat the Giants by 4 in a game that the Giants should have held on and won that game. So I don't know if the Bears are all there yet. And the Steelers, pretty good offense. Not a pretty good offense, pretty good defense, and they should be able to slow down the Bears' offense. I know it's in Chicago, and I don't even know if Rodgers is playing with the injured left hand. But if he is, he owns the Bears. If he's not, I'm not afraid of Mason Rudolph being the quarterback. Pretty good quarterback. Nice backup. So I think the Steelers win this game outright. I really do. So give me the 2.5 points, Steelers over the Bears. So once again, my 2-pack for sure. Give me the Chiefs. I'll give 3.5 to the Colts. That's in Kansas City. And give me the Steelers getting 2.5 in Chicago against the Bears. That's my 2-pack for sure, baby. I hope it does well for you. Hope it does well for me. Hey, FanDuel is turning up with NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. FanDuel is dropping limited-time specials to get you in the zone. Boost, bonuses, surprises, all designed to bring the Friday energy. This isn't just another promo. No. It's your weekly pregame. NBA Happy Hour every Friday, 6 to 7:30 Eastern, only on FanDuel, this official sports betting partner of the NBA. Visit FanDuel.com/K to grab your reward before the clock expires. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right. Giants-Lions. Lions are 10.5 point favorites over the Giants. No Jackson Dart, still out with concussion protocol, so Jameis Winston will start. I thought he played very well last week. He gave the Giants a chance to win, and that last interception was more on Hyatt than it was on Winston. But the Lions are good. I don't think they've been as great as they could be. I think their defense is pretty good. 10.5 is Zoftig, and this is not one of my 2-packs. I'd take the Lions. I'd give the 10.5. Jets and the Ravens. This one's tough. Ravens 13.5-point favorites. 13.5 points. I'm leaning toward taking the Jets. I'm not sure about the health of Lamar Jackson. And the Jets do have Tyrod Taylor starting at quarterback. So maybe they'll be able to score more points than they do with Justin Fields. So give me the Jets reluctantly with the 13.5. Give me the Lions getting the 10.5 over the Giants in Detroit. The Jet game is in Baltimore against the Ravens. It's been a fun week. For me and you, it's been 8 hours because I was off on Tuesday because of this cold. But look forward to talking to you again on Monday at 1. In the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg coming up next. And I will talk to you Monday at 1 p.m.
This is Bart and Carlin on ESPN New York.
The Jets have no quarterback, so why?